conditioning of our minds in different ways is the fundamental factor which determines the concept of interpreting a particular situation, and that fallacious interpretation of the particular situation proves to be the greatest cause of suffering and pain in people's life.
How we can really get out of it by this technique of mind power. But the problems are there. There are physical problems. People are suffering all the time. That's the reason why people like us exist in this world as a psychologist.
Beautiful. No doubt problems are there that cannot be denied. But I have to tell you, truly speaking, in this universe, there are no problems at all. Problems are simply because we have developed a specific perception to interpret certain situations of life. How we interpret those situations, your interpretation only makes a situation to be a problem, because the same thing is happening in somebody's life and it's no more a problem for him, and the same situation is happening in your life, but that is absolutely not a problem for you. Everybody is interpreting his or her situation in such a specific way that it turns to be a problem, and the whole humanity is suffering from the problem of fallacious interpretation of situations. You will wonder, I have very closely observed the problems of people's life. In fact, their problem is simply because of their wrong pattern of thinking. And their problem is simply because they do not know that they are unnecessarily identifying with them, with those situations in such a way that the problem, that the particular situation is becoming a problem for them. Otherwise, the problem is no more there. Those who have experienced the truth of this life, they have said, whatever happens in this universe is always justified. In this universe, no wrong ever happens. Whatever happens is the only thing that is good only. Nothing bad ever happens. Now try to see what they meant by saying it. They simply meant by saying it that our perceptions, our interpretations, our approaches are entirely different. Suppose in India, if somebody happens to fall in love with one's cousin sister or cousin brother, it becomes a very serious offense, and the whole family becomes a victim of suffering, tension and turmoil.
Yeah.
But there are communities, a number of communities like Muslims, where people are waiting for some cousin to happen so that they can have a beautiful matrimonial relationship with them. They are happily waiting for such a situation and others are simply disturbed and destroyed by such a situation happening. Why? Because we have been conditioned in such a way that we cannot accept it. Our acceptability becomes a problem, and you see, that is why my all-out effort is to decondition the minds of people if you have trained your mind to act and react in a specific way, there is bound not to accept what is being conveyed to you. Because even psychologists of this earth have been saying that whatsoever is trying to be communicated by any spiritual master to the other person, he is ready to receive only 5%. 95% flows away. Why? Because suppose the listener is a Muslim, a follower of Islam. If some other person is speaking, non-Muslim person is speaking, then 90% of the content he will not like to align with. And because of the conditioning, because of the sanskaras, he will not be able to absorb and digest. So there is no listening happening, there is no hearing of the truth in real sense of the term. From even if people are reading books, they are not getting the right message because they are receiving only what aligns with them, and what does not align with them, all that goes waste. So what I meant to say, that this conditioning of our minds in different ways is the fundamental factor which determines the concept of interpreting a particular situation, and that fallacious interpretation of the particular situation proves to be the greatest cause of suffering and pain in people's life. So that is why I say that whatever people have learned, that has got to be unlearned first, and that is the first project of a true spiritual master, that he tries to manage his near and dear ones in such a way that first deconditioning of all the impressions which have been carried on through the past lives as well as which have been gathered in this life, first those impressions must be deleted.